Okay. Why is the quality so shit? Oh man, the quality is so shit. Alright. What am I hearing? Oh, okay. Like, how in depth do you guys want me to go with this? I mean, what he's doing right now is All right, so here, let me just rewind. Like, because the opening to laning phase is really important. Now, wait a minute. Okay, he kills one of the wraiths. That way, he gets level 2 off of the first camp. Alternatively, you can open Sweeper Trinket, and you can try to kill a ward if they place one early. He doesn't animation cancel here, which is a little bit bad. Also, okay, so he stands behind because, like, so the reason that he's standing right here, okay, fucking Epic Pen's not working. I knew it. Okay, so the reason that he's standing back here when this minion was alive is because if he autos from this range, these minions won't aggro him. So he can, in some cases, he's going to be able to double auto attack Fizz. And that's just going to be an advantageous trade. So the positioning of the lane is really important right now. Also note that, you know, he does get... Oh, well, that's really bad by Fizz. Okay. The positioning of the lane is already really advantageous right now for Apdo. That's a really nice E. And now he just wants to keep the lane in a favorable position. I don't like that. I think that him not animation canceling onto Fizz is bad there, because he could have Fizz at like 300 or like 280 HP. That was a nice playful trickster, but it gets met with a QQ. Kojix killed Graves, so he knows that he's under no pressure. But the thing is he's running Barrier, and I'm assuming that Fizz is running Ignite. Oh, huge mistake. Oh, he might die. Okay. He was only at 80 HP. Had it been a little bit lower. This is really nice what he's doing right now. He's looking for Fizz so that he can deny the recall. So Fizz is running Teleport. Huh. Okay. Well, Teleport is interesting. So that does change some of the lane dynamics. It's also important to note that he has a Kojix, so there's not a lot of relevancy. So always playing the lane defensively for the first few levels is going to be beneficial relative to his jungler. So that's not bad. And right now, Fizz is basically fucked. Like, this lane is so ugly right now for Fizz. It's a cute little playful trickster attempt, but I don't like the way that he was doing it. And Apto is just continuing to basically play the lane really passive and defensive right now, because this Fizz really doesn't have an answer. It's also important to note that Fizz went into Doran's ring first item, which means that while, yes, Fizz's fighting power is going to be enhanced a little bit, it's going to enable Apto to have basically half a relative core item, or a relevant core item lead. He is missing some CS right here, but I don't think that's going to be the end of the world. He will miss that too, because he doesn't animation cancel. He's going to miss that too. Some sloppy CSing right now. He doesn't use Q to get that CS, and I think that he's a little tilted, because it looked like he just shook in his chair a little bit, like he was frustrated, which I would be frustrated too. Now the lane for Apto is really ugly, because it's about to Glacier, depending on how Apto CS's it and how Fizz chooses to CS against it. So either there's going to be a slow push into turret. A lot of people like to call this a crash. This is bad positioning right now. because Kha'Zix is on the left-hand side, so he has to shove the lane out and get out as fast as possible. Although he does have barrier, so he's a little bit safer than if he had like Ghost or Teleport or anything like that. I think that Fizz is making a mistake here, because judging by Apdo's mana cost, or mana right now, that we can see, right, he's almost doomed. I'm pretty sure that given the minion's lane position, Fizz could come over here, threaten QW, and then when Apdo goes for the E, Playful Trickster it to avoid damage and delay Apdo's recall. No matter what, that's going to make Apdo go and then what's going to happen here is these minions will line up, and it'll prevent these minions from crashing into the tower, and then Fizz can successfully CS this wave and the incoming wave, or Fizz can actually Playful Trickster both waves, and then Apdo ends up missing like 4 CS to tower. So there's a lot of mind games, or not mind games that can go on, but there's a lot of lane manipulation that could have been done right there. That's really good in top lane. Tom gets the solo kill, and then Kha'Zix gets the kill. Graves being bottom isn't really so bad right now. Depending on how Kha'Zix affects top lane, it's going to affect Graves' route relative to Apdo and mid. Okay, so this is fine. Like, Apdo benefits because Fizz didn't really do what he could have to control the lane a little bit better. Apdo misses another CS, a little bit unlucky. And now he just continues to freeze it. And you can do this as long as nothing's going, like, chaotic. But this is also probably the best way to play the lane, Viktor versus Fizz. Everything he's doing is fantastic right now. He's level 6 and Fizz is level 6, but he's going to level up before Fizz. I don't know what Fizz is doing. Okay, that was really stupid. That was, like, Fizz is lethal with Fish, I guess, because you have to get through the Siphon shield. So his lethal on Apdo is going to be about 600, and right now we can see that Apdo's 700. And that's also factoring in Corrupting Potion. So... Oh... So anyways, like, what we were mentioning about, like, this lane freeze stuff. Like, see this? So, with how this is going on, the lane is going to freeze right here. Okay? And if this happens again, how we've seen Fizz has been playing the lane, Apdo is only in danger if he crosses, like, this threshold, which he doesn't need to really cross. Even if he does cross this threshold, he's still safe unless Graves appears as well. But then Graves would have to appear from either here, or Graves would have to appear from here, or Graves would have to come over from Wraiths. So because of this, he would actually be able to play a little bit more forward if Graves doesn't appear. And this is mostly due to Gravity Field and the fact that he has Barrier. Now, also, I did say that Fizz is lethal, has to also get through Siphon Strike. It's not entertaining that he has to get through Barrier. So if we acknowledge that Barrier is on Viktor, and that's a very uncommon summoner spell on Viktor, then Fizz is actually further away from lethal. So now, going back to the point where Fizz took the trade that he took, because Fizz benefits from jousting. And what I mean by jousting is both champions are very low on HP, and one dives at the other, and even if a duel breaks out, one deals more damage in burst than the other one can deal. And maybe the speed at which, like, their projectile goes off, or, their fucking skill shot goes off, or whatever, outspeeds the opponents, and thus they end up winning the trade. So, for example, if, let's say, for instance, Viktor's Q, or I actually don't know the speeds off the top of my head. Let's use Ahri versus Lux. So let's say that Ahri is at 150 HP, and Lux is at 100, or Lux is at 50 HP. Okay, if Ahri shoots her Q, and then Lux shoots her E, and Lux detonates her E before Ahri's ball connects. Now, I'm not exactly sure on the coding of Ahri's Q, but I think it disappears. I could be wrong. I know Sivir's doesn't disappear, but I think Ahri's disappears. So even though they're really low, if Lux's skill shot outspeeds Ahri's, even though Ahri's would kill Lux, then being in this position is good for Lux. Now, if a bigger combo is necessary, and Lux is at 450 HP, and then Ahri is at 550, but the lethal doesn't kill Ahri, but Ahri's full combo benefits Lux, then this benefits Ahri. So it's important to factor in projectile speed and jousting. Jousting is just the term I'm using because obviously Fizz charges at the enemy, and they try to respond, and then Fizz executes them. So anyways, Fizz was trying to get Apdo into jousting range, and the way that Apdo is playing the lane, it's perfect if Kha'Zix doesn't do stupid-ass shit like this. So this is a little bit frustrating, and I feel his pain. Because basically, it's sort of like, if anyone remembers yesterday, actually, here, I'll bring it up on fucking, here, let me show you guys. There was a game I played yesterday, and I was getting absolutely stomped. I think it's this game. Okay. And here, I'm just going to show you guys in case you don't realize. So Yasuo had Ignite, and I didn't know it. So I got killed at 220. I teleported back to the lane. He actually killed me again. I'm an idiot, and I tilted. I missed a Q. And then he kills me again right here at 620. And then he kills me again one more time. I'm pretty sure. Yeah, he kills me again at 10 minutes. But when he was doing this, one of the things that he did was, as you can see, his teammates are getting smashed across the board. You can see Jhin kills Rammus, Jhin kills Lucian, Hecarim kills Jhin, Leona, Viktor kills Talia, and then Elise kills Viktor, and then you see this stuff happening. Lucian kills Leona, and then you have Jhin kills Lucian, Elise kills Hecarim, Talia kills Rammus, etc. So what's happening is yes, Yasuo got a really big lead, but then what he did was he froze the lane. And you can't do a freeze if your team, like, all across the board are getting smashed. Like, if my team wasn't smashing his team in mid lane and in bottom lane, Yasuo can do what he did, and I have no way to really aid my team. But because his team was getting smashed, his decision to freeze the lane on me, I'm like, okay, well, I'm gonna go farm some jungle creeps because my jungler is running a fucking field day on your jungler, which means that my jungler can farm your jungle's farm, and then what your jungler would normally counter jungle, I'm just gonna actually eat instead. And so Yasuo's freeze was like reduced by 80%, like in terms of effectivity, and his monstrous lead just was like negated because of like very poor decision making. So anyways, that's what Viktor was trying to do, and he should have been able to get away with it because there hasn't been that much chaos going on, and if Kha'Zix just wasn't an idiot, which, like, let's be honest, generally, when people play, like, champions like Kha'Zix and Rengar and stuff, they're over-aggressive for no reason, unless they're, like, a pro player or something. So, Kha'Zix being an idiot and invading, even though his lanes don't really benefit from proactive ganks, we see a Swain in top lane, we have a Viktor versus Fizz in mid lane, and you have a Jhin Braum in bottom lane on red side. So the fact that Kha'Zix is even really crossing the river in a way that he's able to get caught out is pretty moronic. So we can already establish, we've given fucking Kha'Zix the check mark for being an idiot. So for the remainder of this match, it is on Kha'Zix to try to reestablish his respect with us for the remainder of this VOD review. So anyways, he's just shoving the lane right now because he's and he just wants to recall. He has 1,000, so this isn't so bad. Kha'Zix? Okay. So he continues to show us. Now he gets double check mark. This guy is so bad. Oh my god. Holy crap. So I can feel Apdo's pain from here. And he didn't have really enough gold to get a potion or a pink ward, although this would be a scenario where he would like a pink ward, and he would like to just place it defensively whenever he can. Right now I don't, well, it's okay because I guess Fizz isn't here. Always CS the back wave before the front wave, and that way, if you are retreating, you will have a larger pool of minions to either block skill shots, or if someone comes, they're more likely to generate aggro. It's also a lot safer. That's a little unfortunate. He's going to be able to kill that with the laser, though. Nice. And now he moves over to blue, but Kajik's a little bit more preoccupied running down to bot lane to do nothing, because he's a good jungler. So we can see that on the minimap. You can also see there's a little bit of frustration on Dopa's face right now. This jungler is definitely not getting the mark of approval from him, and Swain dies up in top lane. So right now, Fizz is basically lucking out. Fizz wanted to probably go for a QE, Playful Trickster trade, dodge over the Chaos Storm, or the Gravity Field, and then he just presses Gravity Field to press for damage. I think Fizz is dead. Yeah, Fizz is dead. So Fizz makes a pretty big error right here. Fizz is actually really good against Viktor, for the most part, but Fizz got a little bit unlucky, and I think because he got unlucky, he tilted. And I think he took a trade that he himself knew was bad against Apdo, and it was pretty nice that he was able to induce this. So from here, what Fizz wants to probably do against him is he wants to time the QE against the shield and then just damage Apdo, and then when Apdo goes to try to reciprocate some damage, Fizz Playful Tricksters away. You can generally do this as long as you keep your mana around 350 or so on Fizz. That way you're still able to go for the all-in combo execute, and it's basically just like softening them up or like prepping them for the execution. And so I think that's what Fizz wanted to do, and then because he didn't get it, he actually just committed all in, which was pretty moronic, because we also know that Apdo still has barrier. He cast the Chaos Storm early, and I think that he does this partially just to try to induce an all-in from Fizz. Even if it doesn't induce an all-in, it gives Apdo enough control over the laning phase that he can still just shove in the lane and successfully get a blue, and then he has much higher pressure on Fizz. So it's pretty good. Anyways, Kajix gives him the blue, which isn't so bad. And now he's going to get boots, and we see him. He's not even really respecting Fizz. I think if Fizz was a better player, he would actually go Negatron into Abyssal Scepter first item, because that would just be something that's pretty good. Because generally, once you have the augment to Death Ray, you don't really need any more AP in this matchup, because you generally should not be able to get kills. You just get CS leads and CS advantages, unless you can induce tilt from the Fizz player. I think Kajix actually just outplayed... okay, well, this, alright, now I think he's gonna die, actually. Oh, wow, Fizz's cooldown isn't up. Swain ends up picking up the kill onto Graves, but that was a little bit scary, to be honest. And now, because, like, okay, so, right now, alright, we look at top lane. Let me just make sure that Epic Pen's working. Okay, you see this? Alright, we know that Graves is dead for 19 seconds, and now Tahm Kench's route is gonna be like this. Okay, so Swain, he can eat this because this is no longer in Kajik's route. Okay, Kajik's obviously, like, he has no purpose to do any of these. Okay, like, there's nothing like this that's possible. There's nothing like this that's possible. There's nothing like this. That doesn't make any sense. There's nothing like this. Like that, none of this stuff makes any sense. Now, if he wants to be really cheesy, and if Swain was a fucking god, like 4-0-0 in top lane, and Tahm Kench doesn't have flash, and Swain has flash or something, and Kajix has like Moby boots, he could do something really, really cheesy like this. Like this would be the only viable route to head top lane. But because none of these like check marks are you know, checked off or something, or none of these things are actually lining up. Right now, Kajix's route is just going to be something like this, or like that, or like this. You know, anything like this. He's always going to be eccentric for the most part right now. So anyways, because of this, and because top lane is going to be relatively passive now for at least the next 2 minutes, because also we can imagine that Graves' route doesn't really... like, I guess Graves could do this if he wants to try to kill Swain, but that doesn't seem like a very logical path. So most likely this is going to be Graves' route if he wants to just do a full clear, because there's no action to be had in mid, and unless something really bad happens in bottom lane. But if something bad is going to happen in bottom lane, then Graves' route will be this. So if you can't see it, it's just like that. And so because of this, this also ties into mid lane. So now all that he wants to do is he wants to freeze the lane. Now you can see that it's sort of arcing up. So this is a very unique situation in mid lane where you can get an arc. Generally the arcs will either be like this or it'll be like this. Except when you are on this side, it'll never be like this. That's if you're on that color, if you're on a blue side. But he's going to get an arc, and an arc is pretty nice to manipulate because that means that you can just inch like one forward every so often to get hit by the tower and then continuously freeze the lane. So this is a scenario that I call a mid lane glacier, which is very, very rare. But this is an instance where Viktor can do it. Now, if Fizz wants to break this glacier, then he just has to do the QW Playful Trickster tricks to dodge Viktor's burst damage. And just use that to crash the minion wave into the tower, thus breaking it. Alternatively, Graves' route could be this, and it could break it, but that would require your jungler to know what he's doing. So there's a lot of stuff going on right now, and it's really good. And so because of all the events that just unfolded, what Apdo, wants to do, he wants to keep the freeze going. Now, he used E, but that was just, just a little bit lane manipulation. He doesn't want a total glacier, as you can see there. He just goes for 1 E on 1 minion. He wants to maintain this. He doesn't want to break it completely, so he's absorbing a little bit of damage right now, and he's just leaving 2 minions. Now, I think this is a mistake. I'm fairly certain this is a mistake because he could have had a lot better control. Now that Fizz is Mia, you know that he just casts the Death Ray, so this is a situation I like to say when I'm, talking to amateurs, challengers, whatever, treat it like Twisted Fate and shove the lane. So when Fizz goes out of vision for too long, and you know that it's not like she's trying to bait a gank, or she's not trying to bait a kill by making you walk into brush, because right now Fizz does not have lethal on Viktor. So because of that, and we know that Fizz is most likely headed to bottom lane, you treat it as if it's a Twisted Fate and you shove the lane into the tower as fast as possible. Okay, so he wards pink wards right side, because right side is relatively safe right now because of the chaos that just happened in bottom lane and because Kha'Zix is there. So even if Graves was there or something, they can likely contest it, given the position. So it's going to be pretty nice. And now he's just going for some poke on to Fizz. And he can do this because of a lot of reasons. First off, he knows that the pink just happened here. He knows that a lot of chaos just happened in bottom lane. And depending on Kha'Zix's route, he can probably actually read off Graves from that. And now because Kha'Zix routes like this, and Kha'Zix is now at Wraiths, he can just basically play inside of this pocket, and he's always going to be safe against Graves and Fizz. So anywhere inside of this pocket is going to be safety land. He can obviously play on the bubble of the pocket, like right here, if he wants to do some Qs and stuff, or ease onto Fizz over here. And it's just a really nice way to just establish lane pressure and dominance. And then we can see that Graves is actually coming in from Wolves right now. And now he's just going for dirty farming. Tom Kent. Oh, that's interesting. Oh, that's interesting. I never thought about that on Tom Kent top lane. Counter jungling the... because you kill it so fast if you max W in top, which you definitely do in some matchups. So that's actually probably a very Oh, that's an interesting little roam thing. And I've played a lot of Tom games. I mean, I've probably done it subconsciously. I've never been, conscious of like why I'm doing it, but now that I'm aware of it, maybe, using it to my advantage consciously will actually be really nice. And that's primarily also because the W max is a new thing that the Toms are doing, and it's mostly due to the change of his passive, so it's pretty good. Anyways, coming in, Fizz needs to recall. Fizz also has teleport, so just shoving in the lane because he wants to recall off. You generally want to time your recalls around your recipe items so that it's very efficient relative to game flow. Like, if nothing was going to happen on the game for the next, 3 or 4 minutes, he could probably be really, really, really greedy. Now, he's going to die right here. And this is why I was saying he wants to recall. I don't know why he's still here. He could be thinking that because of the ward coverage on the right-hand side, there's no way that, Graves can appear. Unfortunately, that ward goes down and then Graves magically appears, so that's actually a little unlucky by him, but nonetheless, his decision to actually stay in mid lane is quite poor. And he dies anyway, and then bottom lane is getting fucked up by Tyler1. So there is that. And Swain not having the best of times in top lane, despite it being a very, very rough matchup for Tom, so that sucks. This game is going to be very hard for Apdo to carry if he's going to be able to. Right now, the CS difference in mid, though, is about 40. So that's about 3 kills and an assist that he has over Fizz. However, the assist is negated due to Fizz having an assist, and I also believe Fizz has the kill onto Kha'Zix. So the gold is, it's pretty close to even, but not quite. We also have to remember that Apdo does have some of the mini wraiths inside of that CS, so that's a little bit skewed because Fizz does not have any of those inside of her CS score. Okay, and now Fizz pops the Corrupting Potion. You can try to read into Corrupting Pots sometimes, but it doesn't always mean anything. Like, I'm very doubtful that Fizz is going to go for any sort of a trade against him right here. But now you'll notice that he's also playing the lane a little bit more aggressive and he's not freezing. This is primarily because his team is losing on every front, and so that's why, you know, the freeze type stuff is just not very effective. Now, it is important to note that this, okay, well, I was about to just say that this Kha'Zix is a retard, so it's important to note that. And as we saw, you know, he decided that the time was now. Oh man, I feel bad for Apdo. And he's going into Rylai's as the second item. And this is a very carry-centric build. I think if his teammates were doing okay, like if, you know, Swain was doing fine, bottom lane was doing fine, I think he can just get away with the Abyssal Scepter to play it a little bit more safe and have more dueling potential against Fizz. I don't think that the Rylai's is necessary. But I think that the choice to go into Rylai's as the first item is indicative of his need to carry the solo queue game. Now, you also have to understand that solo queue is very different from competitive, and so there's different thought processes, theory. I say theory because, you know, I don't fucking know everything about solo queue, and there are a lot of things that are just theorized by players. And so we have that going on. Now, I would be very impressed if Kha'Zix did not give him the blue. Okay, he does get the blue, so that's gonna be fine. He has to be really careful right now because Graves is eccentric. We can see that in the bottom half of the map. And Fizz is definitely looking for another trade before the Rylai's power spike comes in. Rylai's power spike is pretty big because just off of the recipe components, you're not really getting a lot of bang for your buck. You're missing, what, 250 HP, you're missing 20 AP, and then you're missing the passive. So the recipe items are not really close or related to the true core item, and there are some items that are actually really close to their completion, even when you have them. One of the best examples is basically Sunfire Cape. You know, Bomby Cinder plus Chain Vest is very, very similar to the core item, so it's not like there's a huge timing that can be used against it. Now, Fizz is probably going to trade here because bottom is going so well right now. All Fizz needs to do from this point is not tilt into Dopa. As long as he doesn't tilt into Dopa, Dopa is under so much pressure right now to make something happen or to pressure Fizz and somehow get, like, mid lane turret. Because right now the game is in an awful spot. Now, I also didn't see if Tahm Kench ulted bottom. Because if he didn't ult bottom, then the way that he's playing right now is really bad. And it looks like Dopa now moving down to bottom. So we can know that when Dopa's right here, Fizz is right here. Okay? So Fizz is like right here, and he has to be cognizant of that when he's moving down to the bottom lane. So we see that they locked up Graves. Kha'Zix actually got a kill. I wouldn't be surprised if he just E's blind. He doesn't E blind. Where the hell is Fizz? Did Fizz go all the way around red? What? 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 Look at Fizz, look at Fizz, look at Fizz. What the hell is that route? Doesn't make any sense. My mind is blown right now. Alright. And so now Apdo zoning off Fizz, and again, he's able to do this because there's no way for Fizz to really go aggressive on him. However, the teleport comes in from Tahm Kench, and so he backs off position. Tahm Kench in mid lane right now. Fizz and Viktor are even level. This isn't the worst situation. He's probably going to stay for one more wave. I wouldn't be surprised if he actually just goes for a ward right now just to be a little bit more safe. Yep. And then he's just going to shove this last wave in and recall, and he wants to get Rylai's right now. I'm pretty sure that right now he could get Rylai's and the final... Oh my god, this Tahm is so bad. Here, I'm just going to nitpick Tahm. So when you spit out Swain, you don't go for tongue. You go for auto, Q, auto, Q, auto, W. Oh man, this Tahm is terrible. Holy shit. Alright. Oh, he didn't have enough gold for the... Oh, that's right, he didn't have Giant's Belt. He didn't have enough gold for the Hex Core upgrade. Oh, Swain might die. That's so much damage, holy shit. So Kha'Zix goes down, no surprise there. And Swain ends up dying. He moved through a pink ward. He Qs the Scuttle Crab just to get a little bit more movement speed. This is all fine. I'm pretty sure he can flash E. He just goes for E. He could flash E self-gravity field, Chaos Storm, and I think he kills Graves, and because Braum and Jhin are right there, that's a very high variance play, because he is ultimately flash-ing into Fog of War. Like, the flash is proactive, but the decision of the combo, the decision of the combo is proactive, but where Graves is not always going to be the same, depending on if he moves up into the brush or anything like that. So because of that, there's a lot of variance in that decision. Fizz goes for an all-in trade. Dopa just casts the Chaos Storm to basically tell him to, you know, get good. You self-cast W to dissuade Tahm Kench and Fizz. Okay. Unfortunate right there. I'm sure there's actually a lot of situations where Swain actually does die there, if we replay that like 100 times. But he ends up living, which is really good for Dopa's team. Now, because Fizz went tanky, the need to instantly just go into Negatron or anything at this point is also not there. He may not even actually go into Abyssal. I would be very surprised, especially because they have so many close combat champions. Graves, Fizz, Tahm Kench, they're all close combat. So the Abyssal Scepter would help him, and it would also help Swain. But, you know, maybe he doesn't need to do that because he has Barrier. And maybe that's the thought process. I think they were trying to sneak Baron. Draven is absolutely enormous right now. That might be Vincent, the Draven god. I'm not totally sure if it is Vincent, but it might be. I can't read Chinese. Okay, now he's going to come over and he's going to pick up blue. So this is all good. Now I'll probably head back to mid lane and just try to aim to shove it in as fast as possible. So, if you're looking at this game right now, you might see that the kill score is 14-10, okay? What is not mentioned on this scoreboard, though, is that there are tower advantage the tower advantage is for Apdo's team. And now they're about to get mid lane turret. So even though the kill advantage is against Apdo's team, the objectives are keeping them in the game, even though they were getting shit on mechanically. Or I like to call it mechanically because you're dropping team fights and stuff. That Jhin is a god. Okay, well, that was really, really, really good. I feel so bad right now for this Graves because they were getting so many advantages. The other problem is before this just unfolded and they got mid lane, What is Kha'Zix doing? This guy is so bad. Oh my. Well, he should have gone on Apdo, not. He should have gone on Apdo, not on Jhin. Nice gravity field by Graves. Wow. That was super beautiful kiting. Tahm Kench should have been using no CC as CC because we saw that even though Apdo was juking, his movements weren't totally in a straight direction. So anyways, here, let me rewind. Okay, so right now, let's take a look at the CS. So one of the things keeping them in this right now, okay, there's a myriad of factors going on, okay? So number one, they got really far ahead in bottom lane, but then they botched it on that team fight where we saw that, you know, Apdo was able to move bottom and then Fizz for some reason was behind him, okay? Jhin has a higher CS than Draven. However, there is the call, which ultimately it ends up putting Draven somewhere like 205 CS or something after he sells it. Okay, so he's still ahead of Jhin just in the CS department. Now, they're even in kills and assists. However, because of Draven's passive, that's going to put him even further ahead. So the gold difference on AD carries right now is going to be somewhere around 1100. Okay, now the goal difference on top laners, we have 98 for Tahm Kench, and we have 167 with relatively even kills and assists. 2 assists more for Tahm Kench, but some of those are multi-target assists, so the gold is virtually negligible. And there's a 2-item base scaling difference, which you have to factor in gold-wise. And on Swain, the base scaling is absolutely enormous. I would put it at a worth of something like 400 or 500 gold, maybe per level, whereas other champions' level base scaling is not as high. Generally, some champions just have a base scaling gold worth of like 150. I'm sure there's some way to actually calculate it relative to their skills. But Swain is really powerful. Tom's base scaling is also really powerful, but because there is a two level difference, this is really important to mention just in terms of items. Now, in mid lane, you notice 216 versus 174. So this is basically all problematic. The only thing where they have like a 3k gold lead or something is inside of Graves. So if Graves' positioning or something is really bad leading up to a team fight, it's almost like this team doesn't have a fucking leg to stand on. And it's all because of the CS. All right, so because there is a 70 CS difference, that's basically 5 more kills added on to this team comp. And then you factor in that they were also up 2 towers, that's a ton of global gold. So even if the game looked like it was in a really bad position, for the blue team, or Apdo's team, it actually wasn't that bad when you actually factor in everything. And then sometimes what would end up happening is, you know, maybe this Kha'Zix is raging at you. Maybe this is your teammate in solo queue that's like, oh, we should just FF or something. Because the game feels like you've been losing at every single point. But it's a lot like playing Tryndamere. You go 0-6, but you get 2 towers. Or you play Singed. You go 0-6, but you get 2 towers. The actual worth is a lot higher. The decisions that they were making were less EV because of their inability to capitalize or to punish, you know, with the leads that they had obtained. $70 CS is like 5 kills. Almost. It's almost like 5 kills. Now he's just basically passive farming the jungle. And this is just something that you can do if you're looking for a core item. And there's absolutely no chance that the opponents can, like, do a Baron or anything. So if you're going to do this, you have to make sure that you have either a lot of initiative in top lane or mid lane, or all of your teammates are near Baron. if he did this right now and they knew that like Jin was recalled and Braum was recalled, even if Fizz was right here and they had one teammate here and like two right here, they could call for a blitz on Baron. Because there would almost be no way for Apdo's team to get to it. Because from here, depending on the positioning of Scuttlecrab and his ability to make use of Q, it's going to take Viktor about 25 seconds to get to Baron. And that's if he has like perfect Qs all along the way. On Scuttlecrab. So there's a little bit of RNG inside of that. Realistically, it's probably going to take him about 32 seconds or so to get there. Like, actually at the front door of the Baron pit to, like, E and everything. You roam back mid in time for a team fight, and nothing ends up happening because the Kha'Zix is completely boosted. See a blue trinket go down inside of that brush. Now, that would be really interesting. Like, okay, so if this wasn't Viktor, let's say that you have a ward right here, okay? And let's say that you're Fizz, or, you know, you're some assassin, LeBlanc, or maybe you're Jin or something. And let's say that you have a ward right here, and then this is like, I don't fucking know, Kha'Zix, or it's Braum, or, I don't know, Swain. You can blue trinket the brush that you're actually standing in. So, like, imagine that this is warded with, like, a pink ward, and you know that there's no ward in it, and you see Viktor right here. You can blue trinket this brush when you're all, like, standing in it as three. You blue trinket it, and they're like, oh, free blue trinket, and they walk into the brush and die. That's just a little tactic. Now, I'm very doubtful that that's what that blue trinket was, but it did proc me to think about it. Nice, they get the flash. Tahm Kench is going to walk into a gravity field. So Tom's going to die too. Chaos Storm casted early, just to, you know, get the threat of damage. Swain finally teleporting in, and this is probably going to be okay. I can't see them actually turning onto Swain to kill him without they themselves committing to the team fight, which would ultimately result in an ace for the enemy team. Unfortunately, they don't get Fizz. Fizz would have been a cherry on top, because had they gotten Fizz, they can get the inhibitor and get Baron. But because they didn't get Fizz, I don't think that they can actually secure the inhibitor without sacrificing Baron. So what's going to happen here is they're going to get the inhibitor, they're going to back off, but they can't Baron. If they had Fizz, they could Baron. Well, they don't even actually get the inhibitor, so a little bit unfortunate there. And you see tons of defensive pings, and this is why getting that kill on Fizz changes so much. Braum's gonna... Oh no, Braum flashes away. That's a little bit interesting. So one thing that Kha'Zix could do if he wasn't a complete fucking animal... here, we're gonna talk about what Kha'Zix could do. Okay, so Kha'Zix used Leap. I don't know the exact cooldown on it. There's no click on Kha'Zix. Fuck. Okay, so one of the cute things I was saying that he could have done is Kha'Zix could leap over the wall and then Braum stand behind me. And now they just try to turn around to get some CC. Gravity Field's gonna cut. Oh, he ran out of... He used Q instead of Gravity Field. But it looks like the slow was enough as Jin makes it out, and Swain went to top lane to immediately push it. And the reason that that's so important, right, is because you may be wondering, okay, why doesn't Swain stick to the team? Why does he move top lane? Swain being here to push down the turret is completely irrelevant. He's not really going to add too much damage. Maybe in terms of auto attacks, he adds 350 to 400, in which case, if you've already seen this, you're like, well, you're a fucking idiot. Obviously, I would have gotten the inhibitor. But what it doesn't do is, even if they get the inhibitor, what ends up happening is they have a really nice wave in top lane, and then all of this is dark, and all of this is dark for Apdo's team, which means that if they do run to Baron immediately, there's like 3 points of focus for Apdo's, or there's like 4, that becomes problematic. So Swain actually negates 2 of them just by going top to shove the wave. So this position, this like refreshing position right now, it's pretty good. But when you're in this position in solo queue, like if you're Apdo, what you're feeling right now is like, okay, bot lane sucks for us. Top lane is meh. Like top lane, yeah, you have a minion wave and yeah, it's shoving into them, but because this is solo queue, it doesn't really help you unless you guys are able to immediately make use of it. In competitive, it's actually bad for you. So while it's not necessarily bad or good in solo queue, it's not so great. So now you see that they got Baron, and if Swain didn't go top lane and then Dopa's team loses this fight, they go top lane and they get an inhibitor. So that like play that Swain did when he realized like, hey, I'm not needed. And this is something I talk about, and I criticize even LCS teams, LCK, LPL teams. They do it. They overkill an objective. And there's no reason to do that when there's better places to allocate your champions that will benefit you and give you better map superiority. So like fucking Swain just like saved the game. Oh, yeah, you can't see the bottom of the minimap. Sorry. Swain's the goddamn hero right now. He goes Void Staff, and that's primarily because they're stacking so much MR, so it's going to be necessary. Now, even though... Okay, so here's where it resets. Now, because of Swain's play, they didn't have a viable lane to go to immediately make use of the Baron. So the Baron is sort of like a luxury. And one of the things that they do have going for them is they have dragons over Dopa's team. Okay, so they have a bottom lane, which you can't really see it right now because the fucking YouTube bar. But they have a bottom lane, which they can't really make use of. No neutral objective here, no neutral objective here. Tier 1 tower remaining in mid lane. Top lane is relatively bad. So you have a few options. You can either 4-man mid stalemate between these two lines for approximately 30 to 45 seconds while Tahm Kench goes to top lane, pushes to here, and then he's able to ulti in on mid. At which point you need to find a way to penetrate this tower, which is relatively difficult because they have a Janna, a Draven, Fizz, Graves, and Tom. So it's pretty hard for them to actually break a turtle that consists of like Swain Viktor. So the only thing that they can do is they can prey on Tahm Kench going top lane and shoving the lane into the tier 2 and then enabling them to pressure 2 towers at once. However, they're not doing that, so they're making, movement errors, and now they're trying to get a pick onto Dopa. They would have been able to get him. Wow. Holy shit, Kajix. Kashits is gonna be his fucking name at the end of this. Oh, mother of God. Oh, that's really risky. Their positioning. So, right here, they probably should have all just focused the tower, and if Apdo's team tried to go in, you just cast Janna ultimate. because you need to penetrate. You need to break into the fortification before Viktor gets back, because once Viktor... Oh, okay, yeah, that cancels the channel. Oh, Tom Kench. Oh, but you can't save your AD now. Fucking, like, Tom Kench is, like, actually Bowser right now, and he's like, this is my chance. I can save Princess Peach. And he, like, fucking eats Janna. And then, like, actually fucking Mario, who aged a few years and got, like, height plastic surgery, is like, but wait, I'm actually the protagonist. And then he fucking dies to, like, the perfect machine that's coming to, like, rule Nintendo in a few years. You guys wait for it. Yep. And that's how the cookie crumbles. Anyways, Apdo moves up to top lane to pick up the top lane farm. This is okay because he actually does want another core item, and like this is another example of overkill where he would not have been needed in mid lane. So it's very good. And Kashit's in bottom lane, not really doing anything. Now Dragon's coming up, so he'll probably just shove one more wave, and then he'll recall and get an item. Oh, man. I think that's a third Cloud Drake. Oh, man. Oh, man, look at Kashitz. There he is again. Holy shit. Alright. So anyways, Fizz tries to go for an assassination onto Jhin. Not so sure that I actually agree with that. A little too far forward. Had they just played it a little bit more safe, it would have been fine. Apto's actually, for the most part, he's playing these team fights near perfect, with the exception of not being a scripter. So it's actually really nice to watch. This is very high-level Viktor team fighting. Although in like 2 team fights prior, he actually played a little bit bad. But the most recent one, I think he played very, very well. Especially relative to having a Kashitz on his team. Looks like he is going Death Cap as his next item. And I think that this is mostly just to enhance his ability to potentially try to one-shot someone or get them into lethal range. Because right now they're stacking a lot of MR, and if Viktor needs like 3 combos to kill someone, it gets really, really bad for him. He wants to always keep it inside of that 2 combo range. Or like 1 laser plus full combo. And now they rotate bottom lane. And this is just good because Baron, when it does come up in a few moments, they want all the focus to be off of top lane. However, Fizz appears in top lane, so it gets a little bit bad for them. Now, he's able to afford Death Cap. And he has 1 item left, and I'm not totally sure what his final item would be. I feel like he has one of 2 choices. He can either go Abyssal Scepter, or he goes Lichbane. So he can go Abyssal, or he can go Lichbane. It's also really important to note that he has, like, no fucking CDR. So this is a full Glass Cannon Viktor. And it's basically, it's very, very, very reliant on making sure that he basically plays perfect. Because Viktor benefits from having like 30% CDR. So I don't like this variation of the build unless you're running CDR blues. In which case I think that you compromise your laning just slightly. No, he's not going to go Zhonya's against this team. Because you might even think like, okay, well, if Fizz ulties you, you can just Zhonya's. But honestly, if Fizz is in a position to ulti you as the target and it's not a pick, which is something that you could have worked around anyway, just using vision, then you have a lot bigger problems. Jhin casts the ult preemptively, and this is actually really good. It's like casting a Caitlyn ult early on a very squishy target to basically remove them from the fight. Graves getting really overzealous, but it's okay because there's Kashitz, who can't make a fucking pick to save his life. Braum ends up eating the Fizz thing, and Braum does not die to the tick. Nice little laser. Wow, these are actually really, really high-quality team fights. I'm pretty sure that Apdo could have actually killed Tom Kench, but he didn't value using the flash for that. Although I think that does translate into the ability to capture that turret. It's infinitely more valuable to conserve the flash for the Baron. Because basically, this is something that LCS players, LCK, LPL players do very often as a mistake. They use Summoner spells at improper timings. The fact that he has Flash now leading up to this Baron fight is going to be so powerful. They have Flash on Jhin and Flash on Viktor. This is so strong. The high quality team fight is everything except for Kha'Zix. Okay, and they get another Baron. And if I'm Dopa right now, I want to hang myself. But it's really important that you just don't tilt. Because basically, this team composition that they have, it's all smoke and mirrors. So as long as they can survive the next Baron siege and then successfully defend the arrival of Elder Dragon, Apdo's team is going to win. So I haven't seen this VOD or anything, but I'm going to assume that maybe they lose tier 2 mid turret because Tom Kench just failed the push into top lane, because I don't think they're going to be able to make use of that relative to where the other champions are on the map right now. But maybe Apdo's team loses like one turret to the Baron siege, and then the Baron buff ends, and then they're going to be able to finish it. It also does look like he is going Lich Bane, and that's a really, really powerful item. It's going to give them the 10% CDR. It gives him mana, which I think scales with his fucking Q now or something as well. And then to, make matters worse, it, helps him a lot against Tom Kench and against Fizz. Now, this is, alright, so the guy in chat's like, CLS, I told you, if he just had Zhonya's, he would have won he would have Zhonya's the Fizz ultimate. No. That obviously could have been prevented just due to having better positioning. I think this game might be over. Oh, Swain being the fucking hero. He's taking the minions with him. Oh man, Swain's preventing them from being able... Oh man, Swain's the fucking god. So even though Swain went down, oh, they're gonna lose the cannon. Oh no, Tom Kench being the hero now. GG. Who wrote that? Oh, Kha'Zix wrote it. Kha'Zix wrote GG. But I don't think it's game over yet. What's the death timers? 7 seconds, Braum? No, it's not. It's not game over. No, it's not. Braum's got this. Yeah, he's got this. That's it. And, okay, yeah, Apdo's up. So that's not game over, Kha'Zix. Fucking cool your horses. Alright, so, now, Baron buff's gonna wear off. They might rotate bottom to try to collapse on the tower while their Baron buff is still active. Although I think it's about to wear off. Graves is visible on the minimap, but we can't see it. Elder Dragon is up. So here's that situation that I was talking about where I thought that, well, they should have only lost one mid turret, but Apdo ended up getting assassinated, so it was a little bit unfortunate. So what's going to happen is now without the Baron buff and with some of the members on Apdo's team having, obtained a little bit more items, well, okay, Kha'Zix, like, what the fuck is your problem? Oh my god. 4-13-3. Oh my fucking god. God damn. That's like a fucking... I don't even know what to say about that. I feel like I'm looking at like a bottom tier LCS team's like record if ties existed. Like 4 wins, 13 losses, 3 ties. Like, what the hell? Oh man. Someone pick up this Kha'Zix. Any team looking for a jungler? Like, holy shit. Oh my god. So anyways, this game is still... Oh, Apdo got caught. Might be over. Jhin! He looks so stressed right now. Oh, Jhin! That's going to be game. Unlucky. All right, that's going to be game. So they don't end up winning. If Apdo wasn't caught, I'm 99% sure they win that team fight. So huge credit, though, for them catching him. What ended up happening was Graves' smoke screen blinded him, and then I think he came out of it, and then he went back in. So unlucky there, Apdo. GG.